Something feels different at Heartland. In the new episode, a quiet sadness hangs over the ranch. Lindy can't shake the feeling that something's missing, or rather, someone. Every corner reminds her of her dad, Ty. His laugh, his voice, his calm presence gone. But when Nathan starts showing up more, bringing smiles to Amy and trying to help around the ranch, Lindy's young heart begins to twist in ways she doesn't understand. She's not angry, but something inside her whispers that this man doesn't belong, not next to her mom, and not in the shadow of her father's memory. The ranch has always been full of echoes, horses neighing, boots on gravel, wind brushing through the open fields. But for Lindy, those sounds carry something heavier now. She walks past Ty's old tools, still hanging where he left them, and it feels like they're waiting for him to come back. Amy tries to stay strong. She tells Lindy stories about Ty, keeps his memory alive in little ways, like how she talks to Spartan or how she looks out over the same fields they once worked together. But time has its own way of moving forward. The days get busier, and new faces arrive. Nathan is one of them, kind, calm, and eager to help. He doesn't push too hard, but he's there, fixing fences, talking to Amy, helping with the horses. It's not romantic, not yet, more like an unspoken understanding between two people who've both known loss. Amy sees someone who listens, who brings peace in small ways. But Lindy sees something else. To her, Nathan isn't just another helper at the ranch, he's a reminder that the world keeps going, even when she's not ready for it. A tea dinner, Nathan cracks a small joke, and Amy laughs, a real laugh, the kind that hasn't been heard much lately. Lindy notices. She doesn't say anything, but the look in her eyes changes. It's not jealousy, not exactly. It's confusion, because in her heart, no one should make her mom laugh like that except Ty. That night, Lindy can't sleep. She sneaks into the living room and stares at a framed photo, her parents smiling under the wide Alberta sky. She whispers a soft "Good night, Daddy," and you can almost hear how much she misses him. Outside, the porch light glows. Nathan's truck is gone, but the feeling he left behind stays. And as Amy walks quietly into the room, wrapping a blanket around her daughter, we see it, two hearts trying to heal, and the silent distance between them. The next morning, sunlight spills over the ranch, turning everything golden. From a distance, it looks peaceful, almost perfect, but inside Lindy, something feels off. She watches from the barn as Nathan helps her mom saddle Spartan. Amy's smiling again. That easy, natural smile Lindy hasn't seen in months. Most kids would be happy to see their mom smiling, but to Lindy, it feels strange, like a piece of her world has shifted without warning. She remembers how Ty used to do that, the quiet way he'd tighten the saddle, his hand brushing Amy's for just a second before they shared a small laugh. Nathan's doing the same thing now, and it doesn't sit right. Lindy turns away, brushing the horse's mane with a little more force than needed. The horse flinches, and Amy notices. "Easy, sweetheart," she says softly, but Lindy doesn't answer. She just keeps brushing, pretending not to hear. Later, when Nathan brings over lunch from the farmhouse, Lindy sits quietly at the table. Amy and Nathan talk about work, about the horses, about a new training idea. Lindy pokes her food, lost in her thoughts. She feels invisible, sitting in the shadow of their conversation. Nathan tries to include her. "You like the horses, right, Lindy?" But she only shrugs. He means well, but his voice sounds too warm, too familiar, like he's trying to fit into a space that doesn't belong to him. When Nathan steps outside, Amy turns to her daughter. "Honey, he's just helping out. You don't have to be upset." Lindy doesn't look up. "I'm not upset," she says quietly, but her small voice carries the weight of something bigger. Amy wants to comfort her, to explain that life keeps moving. But how do you tell a child that without breaking her heart? That night, Lindy dreams of Ty not as a memory, but as if he's still there, standing in the fields, calling her name. She runs to him, but the closer she gets, the more he fades. She wakes up crying, whispering, "Don't go." Amy rushes in, holding her tight. Lindy clings to her mother, eyes wide and scared. "I don't want anyone to take Daddy's place," she whispers. Amy freezes. It's the first time Lindy has said it out loud. The truth lands between them like a stone, quiet, heavy, and real. Amy doesn't answer right away. She just strokes Lindy's hair and whispers, "No one ever could." Outside, the wind rustles through the trees, and the old ranch feels like it's listening, holding on to their words. Morning rain taps against the windows, soft at first, then steady, like the sky itself has something to say. The ranch feels quieter today. Amy moves through the kitchen, her mind far away, replaying Lindy's words from the night before. "I don't want anyone to take Daddy's place." Those words keep echoing, sharp and honest. Amy knows Lindy's pain, because it's her own too. She's just learned how to hide it better. Outside, Nathan arrives early, his boots leaving wet prints on the porch. He knocks slightly before stepping in, carrying a box of feed. "Morning," he says, but Amy's tone is different today, polite, distant. She thanks him, but her eyes don't meet his. Nathan senses the shift. He's been around people long enough to know when something's changed. "Did I do something wrong?" he asks, his voice low, careful. Amy shakes her head. "No, it's not you." But the pause after those words says otherwise. Lindy sits at the table, drawing quietly, pretending not to listen. But she's listening to every word. Nathan glances at her, then back at Amy. "Maybe I should give you both some space," he says gently. Amy hesitates, torn between gratitude and guilt. "You don't have to," she murmurs, but he's already halfway to the door. Before leaving, he looks back and says, "For what it's worth, I know Ty meant a lot. I'd never try to replace him." The door closes softly behind him, leaving the room full of things unsaid. Lindy stops drawing. "Is he coming back?" she asks, eyes still on the paper. Amy sighs, pulling a chair beside her. "I don't know, sweetie." There's no anger in her voice, just a kind of tired honesty. Lindy finally looks up, her small face serious. "I just don't want you to forget Daddy." Amy's eyes glisten, and for a moment, she sees Ty in Lindy, the same stubborn heart, the same deep feeling. "I could never forget him," Amy whispers. "He's part of us. Always will be." Later that day, Amy walks out to the barn, where the rain has turned to mist. She stands where Ty used to stand, near the old stall door, running her fingers along the wood. You can almost hear her thoughts, the battle between moving on and holding on. Nathan's words replay in her mind, not as a threat but as something fragile. Maybe healing doesn't mean replacing someone. Maybe it just means learning how to breathe again without breaking. The camera lingers on Amy, framed by the soft light cutting through the rain. For the first time in a long while, she exhales, not because she's ready to move on, but because she finally understands that she doesn't have to yet. The sun returns the next day, but it doesn't bring peace. The air around Heartland feels tense, heavy with things no one wants to say. Amy is fixing the fence near the paddock when a car pulls up, old silver, the kind that's seen as many miles as the people who drive it. Nathan steps out first, looking uneasy. Then the passenger door opens, and an older woman steps out with quiet authority. It's his mother, Margaret. Her eyes take in the ranch, the horses, the open sky, the way Amy stands guarded but polite. You can tell in a glance she's the kind of woman who doesn't miss much. "Mom, this is Amy," Nathan begins, but Margaret's already studying her, a soft smile that doesn't quite reach her eyes. "I've heard a lot about Heartland," she says. Her tone is kind, but something underneath feels measured. Amy welcomes her, offering coffee inside, and Lindy watches from the doorway, gripping the edge of her sleeve. At the kitchen table, conversation starts gently about the horses, the land, the quiet beauty of the valley. But then Margaret's gaze shifts. "You've been through a lot, haven't you?" she says to Amy. The words sound sympathetic, but they press on old wounds. Amy nods. "Yes, we both have." Margaret glances toward Nathan. "My son's the same. He's just looking for somewhere steady." Amy smiles politely, but Lindy feels her stomach twist. To her, it sounds like Margaret is offering her mom a replacement, and she hates it. Lindy stands suddenly. "I'm going to the barn," she mutters, not waiting for permission. The screen door slams behind her, sharp against the silence. Nathan starts to rise, but Amy shakes her head. "Let her be." Her voice trembles, but she hides it under calm. Margaret folds her hands. She's still holding on to her father, she says quietly. Amy's eyes harden not with anger, but with protection. She has every right to, she replies. For a moment, no one speaks. The clock ticks, slow and heavy, out in the barn. Lindy crouches beside Spartan, pressing her face into his mane. They don't understand, she whispers. The horse shifts, nudging her shoulder, as if reminding her that she's not alone. Amy eventually finds her there, sitting in the hay, quiet tears on her cheeks. Amy kneels down, wrapping her arms around her daughter. You don't have to like Nathan, she says softly. You just have to know that no one could ever take your dad's place. The camera pulls back, catching them framed by the golden light pouring through the cracks in the barn wall. Evening settles over Heartland like a soft blanket, and for the first time in days, there's no noise, no visitors, no voices, just the hum of the wind through the grass. Amy stands on the porch, mug in hand, watching the sun dip behind the hills. The light fades slowly, painting the sky with colors that feel too beautiful for such a heavy heart. Inside, Lindy's laughter breaks the silence for a moment as she plays with Spartan's foal near the barn. That small sound, so pure, so alive, reminds Amy why she keeps going. She thinks about what Margaret said earlier. Healing doesn't happen when you arrive. It happens when they let you stay. The words have been echoing all day. Amy realizes Margaret wasn't trying to intrude, she was trying to explain Nathan. He's not here to replace anyone. He's just someone trying to help, maybe even to belong. But belonging takes time, and Amy knows she has to earn Lindy's trust before she can let anyone else near their hearts. Later, Nathan returns quietly. He doesn't come with gifts or grand gestures, just his steady calm, the kind that doesn't demand attention. He finds Lindy near the barn, brushing Spartan's mane. She tenses when she sees him but doesn't walk away. Instead, she keeps brushing. Nathan doesn't speak for a while. He just helps refill the hay trough. Finally, he says, "Your dad must have been a good man. Everyone here still talks about him." Lindy nods. "He was." Her voice is small but firm. Nathan smiles gently. "Then I guess I'm lucky to meet the people he loved." Something shifts, not forgiveness. Not yet. But a crack in the wall between them. When Amy appears at the doorway, she sees it too, the faint beginning of understanding. She doesn't interrupt. She just watches, letting the moment breathe. Because this is what healing looks like, not sudden or perfect, but quiet, patient, shaped by love and memory. That night, as the ranch settles into silence, Amy tucks Lindy into bed. "Do you think Daddy can see us?" Lindy asks. Amy hesitates, then smiles softly. "I think he never stopped." Lindy's eyes close with that thought, peaceful for the first time in a while. Amy kisses her forehead, whispering, "Good night, baby." Outside, the stars stretch across the sky, endless and still. The camera pans out over the ranch, the fences, the fields, and the faint glow of the porch light where Amy stands alone for a moment longer. The look on her face says everything. She's not moving on from Ty. She's learning to carry him with her, into whatever comes next. As the screen fades to black, the final voiceover cuts in, gentle and full of hope. Sometimes, love doesn't end, it just changes shape. And at Heartland, even after goodbye, the heart always finds a way to keep beating. Morning breaks quietly over Heartland. The mist clings to the fields, soft and pale, as if the world itself is taking a breath before speaking again. The ranch is alive in that gentle way only Heartland can be. The smell of hay, the sound of hooves, the hum of something steady beneath all the change. Inside, Amy pours coffee and pauses by the window. She sees Lindy outside with Nathan, feeding the horses. There's no laughter yet, but there's no wall either. Just a simple, silent truce. Nathan kneels to fix a loose latch on the fence while Lindy watches. This time, she doesn't turn away. "You know," he says quietly, not looking up, "your dad must have loved this place." Lindy nods, her eyes softening. "He did. He said the horses listen better than people." Nathan smiles. "He sounds like someone I would have liked." For the first time, Lindy lets out a small laugh, quick, unsure, but real. Amy sees it from the window and her heart catches. It's not about replacing Ty anymore. It's about learning that love doesn't disappear when someone new steps in. It just makes room. Later that afternoon, Margaret calls Amy from town. Her voice is warmer now, less guarded. You have a strong daughter, she says. She reminds me of you. Amy thanks her quietly. Before hanging up, Margaret adds, give her time. She's not just learning to live without her father, she's learning how to let the world in again. Those words stay with Amy long after the call ends. That evening, Amy and Lindy ride together through the open fields. The wind rushes past them, and the sky stretches wide and endless. For a moment, it feels like Ty is there not as a ghost, not as a memory, but as a presence stitched into everything around them. The land, the horses, the light. Amy glances at her daughter and smiles. He'd be proud of you, she says. Lindy looks up, her hair flying in the wind. And of you too, Mom. As they ride home, the sun dips low, setting the hills on fire with gold. Nathan waits by the barn, his hand resting on Spartan's reins. Lindy waves, this time small, hesitant, but it's a start. Amy meets Nathan's eyes, and for once, she doesn't look away. It's not love yet, and maybe it never will be. But it's peace, the kind that only comes when the heart stops running from its own scars. The final image lingers, the ranch bathed in twilight. Amy and Lindy walking side by side, their shadows long across the ground. Ty's memory isn't fading. It's living in their strength, in their laughter, and in the quiet moments between them. Because at Heartland, love doesn't leave. It changes form, just like the sky after a storm, softer, but still full of light. Night settles slow over Heartland. The stars come out one by one, scattered across the dark like quiet witnesses. The ranch has changed, not in the way that shouts, but in the kind that seeps in, soft and steady. The fences are fixed, the horses are calm, and for the first time in a long while, so is Amy's heart. Inside the house, the fire crackles low, throwing light against the old photos on the mantel. Amy and Ty smiling, Lindy on his shoulders, the laughter frozen in time. Amy lingers there, her fingers brushing the frame. She doesn't cry this time. Instead, she whispers, "We're okay now, Ty." Outside, Lindy sits on the porch steps with a blanket around her shoulders. Nathan joins her, careful to keep a respectful distance. The night air hums with crickets and the faint creak of the barn door. My dad used to fix that hinge every spring, Lindy says, almost smiling. Nathan nods. Guess I'll leave it be then. Some things shouldn't be replaced. That makes her laugh softly, a sound that feels lighter than before. She looks up at the stars. Do you think he's watching? Nathan glances at her, then at the sky. I think he's proud you're still shining. Amy steps outside then, her silhouette framed by the porch light. She doesn't interrupt, just listens to them talk, to people from different worlds, finding quiet understanding in the dark. For a moment, Amy sees what Ty might have wanted for them. Not to forget, but to keep living. Not to replace love, but to let it grow in new directions. Later, when Lindy finally drifts to sleep, Amy sits alone by the window, the old journal open in her lap. It's Ty's handwriting, the plans he made for the ranch, notes about the horses, thoughts about Lindy's future. At the bottom of one page, faded but still legible, he'd written, "Don't stop living. Promise me that." Amy closes her eyes, a soft smile breaking through. "I promise," she whispers. The final montage rolls in slow motion, Lindy riding Spartan through the open field. Amy working in the barn, Nathan watching from a distance. Margaret waving from her car as she leaves the ranch road. The wind carries a sense of something mended, not perfect but whole in its own way. The voiceover begins, low and tender. Grief doesn't end when you're ready. It ends when you start to live again. Heartland has always been about family, love, and the courage to begin even when the past still lingers in every sunrise. The camera pans upward, the sky opening wide, the light fading into gold. The ranch stands quiet, proud, and full of memory. Life at Heartland goes on, not the same as before, but still full of heart.